Hello, everybody. Today I challenged myself with a bird. Yes, I did. So today I'm going to paint that bird sitting in a tree, just enjoying the new season that's about to happen, spring. So I did it with watercolor. I thought I was going to need gouache because I thought I was going to need some way to get those whites whiter, but it worked out okay. So got about an hour of video if you want to see it, or you can scrub through it. If you could do me a favor and subscribe to this channel, it helps with getting the word out about it, which is kind of cool because it's not just about me showing you how to paint, but rather you and I painting at the same time, virtually, through the computer, whatever. It's kind of the way we live. But anyway, so let's go outside. I'm not really going outside, I'm staying in here, but in my mind, I'm going outside to paint this bird. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's begin. And this is a bit of a challenge to me because it's different, So I like the idea of the bird. I know it's already going to be a bird. So I like the idea that the bird is like most of this picture, like right there, that just off center like that. So let me just start with trying to sketch it in, make sure I like the way it looks. Try to keep it light in case I need to change it. I don't know what kind of bird this is. I like, as I got older, I guess I've always liked birds, but as I got older, I liked sitting out in the backyard, looking at the birds, feeding the birds too, but the problem with feeding the birds is that the squirrels come around. Now, that in and of itself is not a problem because, to be honest with you, I like watching the squirrels eat just as much as I like watching the birds eat. However, we had a squirrel, at least one, in the attic. I think they see food outside and they assume they can come inside. I guess, I don't know, but it was a very trying thing to try to get rid of that squirrel. But I like watching the birds. I still feed the hummingbirds. They don't come around all year long, though. They only come around in the warmer weather. And I know this is Florida, but trust me, it's at least in this part of Florida, we don't have hummingbirds all year long. So the bird's got a nice round eye. I'm looking at the reference photo here. The eye of the bird, as all birds pretty much, is pretty much just black with a reflective area. Gotta make sure I get this right. It's got a dark area here. Goes all the way to that peak, I think. I think maybe I've given him too much eye right there. I think that's a little too big for this bird. So it's a matter of constantly looking. So yeah, I like feeding them and watching them eat. And there was even a song in the movie Mary Poppins called Feed the Birds. I don't know it that well, I just know that it exists. I don't know if it was a popular song at any time or not. Okay, now, see, what I've done, I've made it too big, because if I go around here, I'm not going to see the bottom of them. So I got to change the whole thing. Got to erase the whole sketch so far. I just didn't plan it out well. So let's start again, because I want the whole bird in the picture. In fact, I want the branch he's sitting on in the picture. So let me rethink this. Let me make me see. I'll put his, let's see, I'll put the bottom of the bird here. The tail there. I think like that. He's got a foot that comes over here. He's grabbing onto that branch over there. Oh wow, I am just not doing a good sketch job. Not doing a good job of sketching right now. So I gotta get better at that. Alright, let's try to figure this out. So there's the top of the, that's the end of the top of the front of the card. Just gotta make sure I can see that. I want the bird to occupy this piece basically. So if I make the bird a lot smaller than I started, like that. There's the area where his eye is. See right there. Got to really look carefully. When I was a kid, I did a book report on Johann Autobahn, and I remember that he used to catch birds in order to be able to paint them accurately. And he would either kill them or find them dead. I don't remember, but I remember he would dissect them. He would take them apart and study their internal structure. To me, that's interesting as from an art point of view, because I understand studying anatomy, and yet we don't really draw or paint the inside. But I guess the thinking is, if you understand the outside, then you can better paint the inside. The other way around. If you understand the inside, you can paint the outside. I don't know. All right. Why am I not getting this right? Maybe the eye is lower. Excuse me for just getting this wrong. But see, here's the thing. If I just went straight to the paint, then I would get it wrong and I wouldn't be able to fix it. At least here I can mess with it a little bit with the pencil. So let me do very rough sketching. Let me just get all the basics down here. Looks like this side goes down, this side goes out. Yeah, this is called sketching 101 here. This goes forward here. From here to here, you've got some color. And then here to here, it's got some shade. This wing looks like it comes out a little bit further. And the back of his tail, the inside of his tail. And then this side of his tail is very shadowed, very much in the shade. And from there, this little leg holding on to that branch. And then over here, got a leg that comes down. I don't know what, put the branch here. Leaves from the branch. I think I got the reference photo from National Geographic, so I don't remember where I got the reference photo from, but that might be what I got it from. I was probably watching a video and got a screenshot. So in case you're wondering where I got the reference photo from. And down here we got lots of little leaves that kind of going to be nice later on when I get to that part. And this foot here is holding onto a branch that actually comes this way. This is probably the sturdier of the branches. And it goes up, goes all the way to the edge of the paper. Which is a Rembrandt trick, by the way. Making something come to the edge of the picture. And then over here we have some. I still think I got his head too big. So now I can see it better now that I got a rough sketch here. So this is working out a lot better than the other way. So all of these pencil marks are probably going to be a problem, but I think it's better to sketch it than to just try to do it straight with the paint. Take that one and go up. Lots of leaves on this tree that he's sitting in. Okay. Okay, I think I got this part right. This goes up, over. Get that beak right there. So many feathers, so many different areas here with light and dark. I'll have to work a lot of that with the paint. I'm I'm getting there. I'm not quite happy with the shape of the head yet, and the beak, or the eye. So these are the areas I need to make it better. All right, let's see now. Got a really cute arch to the shape of his head. It's very cute. So that's the best way I can explain it, describe it. It's a good way to look at it, because then you can say, well, does my sketch look cute? Well, if it doesn't, then I didn't do something right. Okay, now let's see. Now, this is kind of undefined here, but it does have that general shape. And I believe the opening for the mouth, for the beak, is here. Okay. The eye is here. And this area that's dark around the eye is here. Do you know, I think his head is still too big. I think that's the problem here. I think I'm just making his head way too big. I think I do that with people sometimes too. Well, a lot of times with people, I only do the face. So. Come up. I was to do a general shape. But I'm giving myself a challenge here. Just sketching. I'm already 17 minutes into the video and haven't even got the sketch in there yet. Again, I keep wanting to make it bigger than it really should be. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm trying to force myself to make it smaller. Yeah, that's a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I think that's better. See, that was the old beak, and here's the new beak right here. I think it's got a little bit more of an angle to it. The tip of it has got reflection on it, like a little dot of white. Got to remember that when it comes time to the painting. So if we have just this area here that's dark, come around here. But the eye is right there. There's the beak. There's the little shaded area. The eye is right there. I think that's right. I think that's okay now. This might be more of a gouache painting. I don't know. I say that because I might need to cover up the pencil. So it might be more of a gouache painting. But it's since it's a greeting card, it's a very small area too. Get some more of these leaves on here. The leaves in front of his feet. Just so I don't forget them when I finally put the paint down. Alright, I think that's the bird. Like I say, I don't know what kind of bird this is. Okay, here we go. All right, now. All right, wow. Wow, 21 minutes into it. All right, well, let me paint everything in the background a little bit, like a blurry. So I just want to get the background wet a little bit. And then I'll put the bird into there. The background is going to be hopefully easy. It's just... Yeah, I do think that I'm going to be using watercolor and gouache today. I just have a feeling it's going to be better if I use gouache. I've been on this watercolor kick for a while now, and I just keep wanting to do watercolor. But I think if I approach this with the idea of doing the watercolor background and the gouache for the bird, I think I'll be happier with the end result. Or maybe I can, maybe I can lay down some of the beginning parts of the bird in watercolor. Yeah, that's what I'll do. All right, let me take this water, bring it up here. The back of the card probably will be my palette again. Well, all right, let's get some yellow, green. Oops, that's the gouache right there. Let's get the yellow. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, let's just put some of that back there. We'll just kind of put it everywhere. I know there's still some pieces of eraser floating around on here. Wow, I messed up with that sketch. I'm still not sure I'm 100% happy with that sketch, but it's better than it was. So let me see if some of this green. I'm just going to try to make the illusion of green and yellow in the back, just as if everything is out of focus. Okay, keep it pretty. Keep it pretty, man. like I say, I'll put the gouache over that. What is this green? Let's see. Oh, that green works nicely too. I'll put that over here. Yeah, just brush it in there. Get that nice light green, green and yellow, kind of a mix. This is a blue-green over here. I'll use that just to give some character to the background. Let the water take it where it wants to go. That's the one thing about watercolor. You can kind of let it do its thing, and it's one of those happy accidents that seems to happen every single time. Happy accident being a Bob Ross reference, of course. Yeah, so I'm purposefully trying to get it darker at the bottom. Just let it dry like that. So I do like feeding the birds. I'm not a bird expert in any way. Obviously, I'm not a bird expert at drawing them, but I just, you know, part of, I think, what I did this morning was when I was thinking about what to paint, I was really thinking in terms of, let's do something that's challenging instead of something that, you know, I've done many times. I've done many landscapes, and you know, but even landscapes are challenging. They don't all come out good. Sometimes I'm surprised. And I know other artists say this too, that they'll do a painting and then they'll look at it later on and they'll like it more or like it less. Okay. Again, here I'm just trying to create the illusion that there's some bushes and stuff that are out of focus here. Put a little bit of blue-green in there. And I think I will use gouache. Okay, now that's all wet. The bird is not wet yet, but the background is definitely wet. So now, what do I do? Clean the brush first. What do I do now? I think I'm going to lay down a little bit of color in the bird, just a little bit. And then from there we'll work on everything else that we'll use gouache for. So I want this bird to have this very light color blue. So let me go over here and experiment a little bit. That's not light really, it's dark, even though it's washed out. So I want this very light. So I'm mixing white with it. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works okay. I just want to give him some blue. A little bit of blue on his head. Try to get that blue in there a little bit. It's going to be darker there. The, the pencil's actually adding to it a little bit. I guess that's okay. Back here. Let me add a little bit of dark color here. A little bit of depth to the areas that have some shadow in them. Just trying to add these shadows. These areas in the shade here. Okay. Try to keep it. Now the background is drying pretty quickly, so that's good. I'm going to clean the brush here because I got enough shadow on there, I think, for now. So far, I'm still working, obviously, with watercolor. I keep thinking I want to switch over to the gouache, but I'm not going to do that yet. I want to get as much done with the watercolor as I can. You can use this one for the leaves. Now, I'm not so concerned that the leaves are perfect, but I do want them to sort of have the illusion of light and dark hitting them. So kind of each leaf, I don't want to just paint it like you paint a house. I just want to make sure each leaf has a little bit of character to it. I think that'll make the painting more interesting. So it just takes a little bit of extra effort there to kind of study where the yellows are and where like this area right here, a little bit dark. So I'll go ahead and use the blue-green as the shadow there. Just keep working this. I'm kind of mixing the green with the yellow, with the blue-green. I'm using the blue-green more as not the darker leaves, but the shadow, the leaves that are in shadows. This right here. And there's even some white. It's not white, but it appears to be white because it's so lit on the leaves. It's just reflecting light. That's what it is. So I'm just trying to get these all in here. Even the branch that they're growing on has a bit of a blue-green tint to it, I think. I get some of this dark and add to it. Let's come up here. Get a little bit to that tail here. And there's some leaves in front of the tail. Again, that's going to be where we use the gouache right there. Get some of that tail. Try to get this branch. Get some of these leaves up here. Just as always, we don't want to create a photo, we want to create a painting. But still, at least in the way I like to do it, I like to have it look like what you want it to look like. Get this beak colored in a little bit. The beak is a definite structure here. I think the bottom is a little bit darker, just the way the light is hitting it. I'm probably going to add the white reflection in the bird's eye with a dot of gouache, but we'll see when we get there. Right now, the paper's coming through and it kind of looks nice. I haven't even added gouache yet. So I kind of like that. Get some of these branches here. His foot is kind of dark, so let me try to get a little bit of his little tiny claws. Our bird's amazing, really. All wildlife is amazing. They are amazing. I guess we humans like to think we're amazing. It's probably one of our problems. So his other foot is over here, but it's kind of obscured by these leaves. Alright, let me just keep adding some yellow and green to these leaves over here. Get some blue-green over here. Hopefully this will come out good when it's all done. Some of these leaves are visible from the side. Yeah, I like the idea of doing a bird. It's starting to happen. Now I'm starting to be happy with it. I was just worrying about it. I was thinking I wasn't going to get it. I've made you a promise. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I made a promise on this channel that if I make a painting that is horrible, I'm still going to put it up there. Not because I just want to put everything I can, but because I want artists, especially young artists or new artists, to see that just because I do have a YouTube channel doesn't make me great. just because I may get a couple of paintings that look nice doesn't mean they all look nice. And I don't want anybody to give up just because they did something and they don't like it. And or they did something, and worse, they did something and other people don't like it. And it makes you feel bad. Artists, it's sentimental and temperamental and all those other mental things. All the other mental things. But yeah, I'm Poppa, and you know that implies that I'm old. And you know, even old doesn't make you immune from having hurt feelings when people say things that are not nice. When people say things that are negative but constructive, that's different. That's a hard pill to swallow, I think. But usually for me, I'll tell you now, I don't know that it happens anymore because I don't see too many people, to be honest with you. But when I was younger, you know, if you try to do a piece of art or you try to do a piece of music and you have somebody tell you something negative but constructive, you first are resenting it, right? And then later on you realize that that person was right. And you say, okay, let me take that. I'll give you an example. That guy who does the American Talent Show, whatever it's called, British Talent Show, the guy, Simon, this guy had a reputation for being mean. But how many of us watched that show and said, he's being mean, but he's right. And if the people who are trying to make a career out of music will listen to what he's saying, then they can correct what he sees, right? And become better at what they're trying to do. So I think, and that's an example of what I would call constructive criticism. And it's the perfect thing. If it's a hard pill to swallow. If you're young or you're old, I don't think this is an age thing, but I especially want young people to know that sometimes the best comment somebody can make is a negative one. Sometimes the negative ones are mean, so not those ones, but or they're jealous. Trust me, you've done some work that people have said stuff about. I know, especially if you're young, you're in school. And in school you have this whole group of people who will have an opinion about things, about your art, about your hair, about your clothing, and they're cruel. They are cruel. I mean, there's no question about it. They're cruel, and I wish we as human beings would learn. You know, we've learned so much. I mean, we've learned how to work computers. We've learned how to create what we call artificial intelligence, which is always a mystery to me. Why is it artificial? But anyway, I just think that we're smart enough. We really are. We're an amazing. We're as amazing as the birds, okay? But we have a tendency to hurt each other real bad. Humans hurt each other real bad. It's just not just in a war scenario, but in our own homes. We tend to hurt the ones we love. We say nasty things. Why do we do that? I don't know. How can we stop that? That's the better question. Maybe we need role models. Maybe we make too much comedy out of being mean. I think I see that sometimes too. A lot of times in comedy, people will be yelling at each other and we're supposed to laugh at that. So you know what? I said I was going to use gouache, and so far I haven't used any gouache. I'm just having a good time putting watercolor on here. Maybe I will do just watercolor. Let me try and get some gray water on this bird here. Try to make that look of the feathers, of the fluffiness. Get some more blue in there. Now, before you think I'm a big shot, and I'm beyond having hurt somebody's feelings, the truth is I'm not. I've had when I was younger, I didn't do a lot of this, to be honest with you. I was always sensitive to people's feelings, so I don't want you to think I was mean. I really wasn't. But I'm guessing there were times when I would be stupid. You know, I would say something that might hurt somebody's feelings, or make somebody not like me. Which, if I said something that made somebody not like me, I probably deserved it. You know. So, what I'm trying to do now is trying to put a little bit of contrast to the background, because I want this white to stand out. So I'm adding to the background now. Well, it's interesting how I'm not using the gouache. I thought for sure I would need the gouache on this one. Kind of happy that I'm not. I love gouache, don't get me wrong. It's just that I'm on this watercolor kick, and by blotching this around a little bit, it gives a more interesting background. Looks more like stuff is going on in the back. Let's see. I like using dirty water too, because dirty water is a great way to make a gray area. I think a lot of this bird is basically going to be colored with what I call dirty water. Get some darkness around his head too. It's starting to happen. Another Rembrandt trick, by the way, is to make dark. You know, what you want is you want contrast, so that's just what you want. But the Rembrandt trick, and I call it the Rembrandt trick, is because if you look at some of Rembrandt's works, you'll see he has some areas where shadows on the subject blend with shadows in the background, and where bright spots on the subject blend with bright spots in the background. So it's almost like it's certain parts of his paintings you cannot necessarily make out a background sometimes. Now see what I'm doing right here is a little bit risky. I'm trying to paint around these leaves to try to do that very thing, but not too overdone. I'm just trying to spread some of this gray, this green-gray water as far as I can. Try to create that feathered look here. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Just look at some of these green areas kind of pop out, give him some contrast. Let the water do its thing. I think I like the way the white from the paper is now serving as a highlight on him. Get some of that up. That's a little bit too much. That's the thing with watercolor. You don't just put paint down. You also pick it up and get the brush. I see what I'm doing. I'm pulling on it. I don't know if I ever showed you what I do. I just get it out, get the water out of it, kind of squeegee it out onto my fingers. Yeah. Maybe I'll exaggerate the blue a little bit. Make it look real pretty. All right, let's spread some of this around here. Again, I want it dark down here. Kind of mix it up a little bit. Well, what do you know? I don't think I'm using gouache at all today. I thought for sure gouache would have to come into this picture. Well, technically there is some gouache in here because some of the dry stuff in the pan is gouache. The colors are, by the way, the paints are Winsor and Newton. That's the brand name. I know a lot of you like to know that the paper is Strathmore. It's Strathmore blank greeting card paper. I did a whole video on it. The last video I did was just on the paper and the envelopes and the little plastic sleeves that I put them in. All right, now it's a matter of, I think there's enough paint on the paper. I just need to spread it out, get it wet again, just to give it that watercolor look. Okay, let's get this bird a little bit more shadow, only so that this light spot right here gets a lot of attention. All right. Well, it took me longer, I think, to draw it than it did to paint it. I don't know. What's it, 55 minutes into it now? Now, his feet are not that defined. I wonder if I should improve that. He's got one claw that comes over here. One claw that comes down here. One claw that reaches over this way. And on this side, he's got and I guess I could add a few more little dark spots to the leaves themselves. Give them a little shade. Some of the branches that are not getting hit by light are just in the dark. Yeah, just get it wet. I think that's good enough. I think that's how I want it to look, just like that. I say that and I keep working, right? I say I'm done and I'm not done. Just trying to give the bottom of the card a little bit more interesting stuff happening in the background. Okay, there we go. All right. And you know, all those pencil marks are probably just a permanent part of the painting. But I think we got it. I could lift up a little bit of that water. It might be a little bit too much water right there. Okay. Well, I'm going to let it dry, but I'm going to turn the camera off while it dries. So that's the painting. In a second, I'll after it dries, I'll add a snapshot of, what do you call it? A photograph of the finished folded card, like I normally do. But anyway, hope you liked this particular one. Let me see if I can hold it up to the camera. That looks like a bird in a tree, right? All right. Whew, that was a little challenging. All right, see you later.